know you're all stressed out, tense, just from the awesomeness of what you're about to hear, because I'm always saying something that's kind of traumatic and causes, a lot of cognitive dissonance. Well, let's calm down with this. A little Lionel Richie. Topped off with a little credence, of course. Someone left a comment that they said, yeah, it's always nice to hear a little credence to calm down, a little clear water. Well, this is clear water that I'm about to tell you. And we could probably start anywhere, but I thought I'd start with the main problem, and it's usually pointing to Constantine. But I've got a wanted poster out for him. We're looking for this guy. He's an outlaw. He changed the Sabbath. All the duties of the Sabbath were transferred to his day of the sun in 321. That sounds kind of like a rhyme. We could write a song. Well, another thing I wanted to point out, I was going through my books that people have sent to me over the years, and this one caught my eye because it took on a new kind of wormwood. This one is showing you the real name of God. Well, you see this first letter here? That's the Assyrian/Babylonian letter, Aleph, and then the next one is Anun, and that's a Kof, and there's a Yod at the end. It's Anoki. Anoki. And this, he says this is the name of the Creator. Uh-oh. And he's got it written all around the border of the book. Anoki, 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 all around the book. Well, that's the first word of the Ten Commandments in real Hebrew. That was Aramaic, yeah. Well, the first word of the Ten Commandments, if I can get it up there, is right over here on your far right. See if I can get it focused. Nope, I can't get it focused. It's Anoki. Anoki Yahuwah, the second word. And that's, this is a document that you can download for free from TorahZone.net. It's a PDF. Just look up interlinear commandments. And here it is right here on this Los Lunas stone, the Ten Commandments. See, it's right here. Anoki. Yahuwah. There it is. Yod, Hey, Ua, Hey, Alahik. This is Anoki. Now, this fellow's book is claiming that Anoki is the name of the Creator, the real name. Let me show you the cover again. I'm not making fun of this man. He's just got that idea. The real name of God. Anoki, embracing the full essence of the divine. Okay, well, oh yeah, well, Yashayahu, or Isaiah 42 verse 8 says, I am Yahuwah, that is my name, and I do not give my esteem to another, nor my praise to idols. So he took the first word of the Ten Commandments and said, that's his name. Other people are saying his name is Ahaya, which is really a phrase that means I will be. Ahaya, Asher, Ahaya. I will be who I will be. And all he's doing is winding up and about to tell him who he's going to be. And then he says, Yahuwah, that is my memorial name to all generations. Yahuwah. And that's the second word of the Ten Commandments. Now, like I say, you can download this at TorahZone.net under the PDFs, and you can get this document. It's a double-sided document. You can make two out of each page that you print. And this is the interlinear, the English and Hebrew, authentic, real Hebrew script. As Shlomo and Daud or David and Solomon would be able to read. They wouldn't be able to read the Assyrian script in the 10th century BC. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you about this other thing it's a book of mine called Spiritual Captivity. I don't seem to have one here, but if you're at Torazone.net, you'll see the book, Spiritual Captivity. This is, I've got a picture of the book on the back of this tract. This is just a tract. It shows you the picture of the book on the front cover. Now this is exposing a whole lot of stuff that's got people trapped in a thought prison. And this dispensationalism is something you hear kicked around a lot among people who are trying to figure out, hey, where we go off? Well, dispensationalism was introduced to the world basically as a way of interpreting who's who. The people who are Gentiles, specifically Christians, are said to be replacing the promises of the tribes of Yisrael. Now, dispensationalism was also launched and kicked Cyrus Scofield kicked a field goal with that when he produced a translation based upon that thought process. John Darby invented the idea in the 1830s, and dispensationalism was kicked in to high gear just as the turn of the century occurred in the early 1900s, the early 20th century. Dispensationalism, or replacement theology, the replacement of the people of Elohim. Now, let me read just a little bit of this tract. This is a method that the magisterium has adopted, and they say that we interpret the scriptures this way in the early 19th century, around 1830. It began the idea that the adherents of Christianity have replaced the tribes of Yisrael. It claims all the promises to the chosen people and how they were transferred to the Gentiles with no regard for obeying the eternal covenant. Now, the eternal covenant is the reason he's going to, the eternal covenant is the Ten Commandments. He's coming to overturn the surface of the earth by fire because they have transgressed the Torah and broken the everlasting covenant. Yeah, that's Yahusha, or Isaiah chapter 24. But this is the kind of thing that this tract and the book is about, spiritual captivity. And this is a book excerpt, which is just something you can download to read and decide whether or not you'd like to read more about the things that have happened. Nicaea was a pretty big earthquake. But anyway, the thing about, it's more wormwood is what it is. And the name of this video is How to Identify a Wolf. They're skilled at how to trick people who are ignorant. The ignorance of people, they take advantage of it, These commandments, these 10 commandments, train us in how to love Yahuwah and how to love our neighbor. And they're always going to be there. His word will never pass away. Although they have pretty much destroyed this stone that was written. It was actually etched during the days of Shlomo or Solomon, about 1000 BCE. Some tribes of Israel were sent over on ships, and they made colonies. I've told you about this in other videos. And the Ten Commandments basically have been the enemy of the world's religious authorities. They try to destroy them and annul them and try to excuse and make ways of making it seem like they don't matter anymore, like Sinai never happened. Well, they don't think Sinai never happened. They just say, well, it's as if we're going to live as if Sinai never happened. And that's not the old covenant. That is the eternal covenant. The old covenant was the animal blood that was offered for the temporary atonement by an obsolete priesthood, which is no longer in existence. There's no operating priesthood offering animal blood. They want to start it up, of course. But, that's what the Temple Mount people are about. But we're the temple. We're walking the earth. We're commandment keepers. We love the commandments. He circumcised our hearts with a love for the commandments. Anyway, I'll show you this 2 or 3 things that I want to go over here with you. All right, now here we are. Dispensationalism was another video that I did with Dan DeCendro, and it involved a discussion about Constantine and his influence on Christianity, and John Darby's influence in the early 1830s, and how Cyrus Scofield came out with a translation called Scofield's Bible, promoting the dispensationalism idea, replacement theology. Once again, that's how it was taught as a new doctrine, that obeying the commandments is unnecessary according to these people. And it seems to be rampant in the world now. Darby's 1830s dispensationalism. They teach that obedience is now considered sin because you're obeying a false gospel. Obeying the commandments brings the dragon's rage on us. That's what Revelation 12 verse 17 is saying, that if you obey the commandments and hold to the testimony of Yahusha, the dragon is enraged. Constantine's edict transferred the duties of the Sabbath to his day of the sun in 321 CE. It was called the Edict of Constantine. Now, this is what Yahusha told us. Now, this is concerning the last days, the extreme last days, that Nazarene, his students, were actually supposed to remember this. He said, and pray that your flight does not take place in winter or on the Shabbat. That's the 7th day of the week. For then there shall be great distress, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time. No, nor ever shall be. And he also said, do not think that I came to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. For truly I say to you, till the heaven and the arets, that's the earth, pass away, one yod or one tittle shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done. Whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men so shall be called least in the reign of the Shamayim. But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the reign of the Shamayim. For I say to you that unless your obedience exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall by no means enter into the reign of the Shamayim. How to identify a wolf? There is one body, one head, one instruction. Replacement theology, which is a teaching that the circus replaces Yisrael to inherit the promises, is known as dispensationalism. The duty of all mankind is to obey the eternal covenant. Read Ecclesiastes 12, 13 through 14. And all who do, that is, all who do obey, are welcome to partake in the life of the vine, grafted in among the native branches. The root supports all, and we treat all obedient members of the body as native born. Abraham, the name, means father of multitudes. He literally became the nations, is his offspring. Yisrael became one nation and were formerly a mixed multitude of enslaved peoples as they came out of Mitzrayim. Those who will hear and obey the words of the covenant are all Yahuwah's people. So we have to watch out for the architects of division being wolves among the sheep. That's who the wolves are, how you identify them. Are there errors in the so-called Bible? A big mistake people make is calling the writing of truth, that's the prophets that were inspired in Hebrew to write, calling it by an unused word. It's not found anywhere in the Hebrew or the Greek or the Latin or any other translation ever made. This word Bible was not a used word. It was a fertility deity's name at the ancient port town of Byblos, a city that was named after this deity. The Greek word Bible came into use because of the fact that they called paper by the name of the city. The parchment was manufactured there, and that's the main primary output of that city. So they eliminated the name of the creator, and they put in a device too. The elimination of the name of Yahuwah, which is concordance number H3068, and they replaced it with Lord, an English word based upon the other word in Latin that meant dominus, and it means Lord also, from the Greek kurios. Now this elimination of the name is the greatest error possible, and this occurs a minimum of 6,823 times in the Tanakh alone. See, his name and his word are above all things, and they eliminated his name and they turned his word into wormwood. Another error that's in the Bible, as they call it, is the phrase son, that's S-U-N, of righteousness. It should not be son, but rather servant, because the word shamash in Hebrew means servant. And the son was given the name shamash later because it is a servant to give light on the earth. The word shamash primarily means servant. You'll remember that the candle that they light the Hanukkah with, the lighting candle, it's actually the 9th candle. They call it the servant candle. It's called shamash. Matthew 26:17 is another error in the translations. It has the disciples talking to Yahusha on the first day of unleavened bread, the day after he was placed into the tomb. There are hundreds more errors, and they're all misinterpretations made in ignorance. The Anglican Catholic translators of the King James Version were using the Latin Vulgate to make their translation. Read the preface of your favorite translation, and the translators will be shown admitting in writing that they removed the Creator's name. That's about all I needed to tell you today, because I've got other things to bring forth later. But I hope you enjoy these new methods I'm using for instructing, because I'm showing you the words themselves, and you can look back at the scripture references. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.